In the previous class, we have seen some characteristics of embedded systems and also the quality attributes of embedded systems. So in quality attributes, we have seen there are two types, operational quality attributes and non-operational quality attributes. We have looked at some of the operational quality attributes of embedded systems like response, throughput, reliability, and maintainability. The next quality attribute that we have is the security. What do you mean by security? The information has to be kept secure. So to measure this, there are three terms or three major measures of information security. We call it confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Though these three terms, they look similar, but they are very different from the perspective we look at it. The confidentiality means the data has to be kept confidential. That means it should not be disclosed to unauthorized people. Okay, so confidentiality deals with the protection of data and application from unauthorized disclosure. So only the people authorized to know what data and application is, they will be authorized to get the information. Others, the data and applications will be protected. That is called confidentiality. Means just knowing it. Okay, they are not even changing or something. Even knowing some of the information or having access to the information or data is it has to be kept confidential. Okay, then integrity, it deals with protection of data and application from unauthorized modification. So integrity means the data is kept safe. Okay, unmodified data from unauthorized users. So here the data is kept safe means whatever the manufacturer or the designer does, after that there shouldn't be any modification. That means only authorized people should be able to modify the data or applications. That is called integrity. Then availability means it deals with the protection of data and application from unauthorized users. So only the people or the licensed people. So if at all you are providing the embedded products with a license, then only if the persons who purchase that particular product or who buy the license, they will be able to use that particular product. Okay, then that is called availability. So these are three terms: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. They all deal with the protection of data and applications from confidentiality means it is from unauthorized disclosure, integrity means from unauthorized modification, and availability means protection from unauthorized users. Okay, one good example we can say of the security aspect is a PDA. PDA stands for personal digital assistant. Okay, so it can be either a shared resource or an individual. Shared resource means if more than one people use the same device, like in lab setups where there are more than one users, or maybe individual one where each person is having a different unit. Okay, so if it's a shared one, there should be some mechanism in the form of a username and password where people or users who are authorized can log in, and the things will be available to that particular person. Okay, so some mechanism in the form of username and password to access into a particular person's profile. This is an example of availability. Okay, so it becomes available only when a user will be able to log in into his particular profile. Then all data and applications present in PDA need not be accessible to all users. Again, the user profiles may be different. One might be a simple user, other might be an admin user who will be having some privileged access, right? So in that case, so some of them are specifically accessible to administrators only, like some features or applications that are accessible to administrators only. For achieving this, the administrator and user levels of security should be implemented. So this is an example of confidentiality. Okay, so the normal users, from the normal users, some things will be hidden. Only the admins will be available to access that. That is called confidentiality. To come to integrity, some data present in the PDA may be visible to all users, but there may not be necessary permissions to alter the data by the users. So there is only read-only access. It is allocated to all the users, but only some users like admins may be able to change or modify the data. Okay, so that is an example of integrity. So there are three things in the same device, PDA. So where you can take an example of security and explain availability, confidentiality, and integrity. Okay, so next quality attribute is safety. So what does safety mean? It is not the same as security. Okay, security is related to the data and protection of data and applications from unauthorized access. Whereas safety, it deals with possible damages that can happen to the operators, the public, and the environment due to the breakdown of an embedded system or due to emission of radioactive or hazardous materials from the embedded products. So this actually deals with how safe the embedded product is while you are using it. Okay, so it shouldn't explode or something, or it shouldn't emit hazardous rays or radiations, right? So those are the concerns. So the breakdown of an embedded system may occur due to a hardware failure if the circuit burns, okay, or a firmware failure if the software stops working. Then some sudden disaster might happen in some cases. Okay, so the safety analysis is a must in product engineering to evaluate the anticipated damages and determine the best course of action to bring down the consequences of damages to an acceptable level. So while designing and bringing the product to the market, the safety analysis has to be done. What all the possible damages that can happen, and how, what actions can be taken to control that damage, those have to be thought of well before bringing the product to the market. Okay, some of the safety threats are sudden, like product breakdown, which might happen, like explosion, which might happen all of a sudden, right? And some of them are gradual, like some hazardous emissions like radiations. If we keep coming over a long period of time, they become hazardous. Okay, so all these have to be taken care while designing an embedded system. So all these, whatever we have seen so far, they come under operational quality attributes of embedded systems. So what are those things? It's response, throughput, reliability, maintainability, security, and safety. So that means we consider these things when the embedded systems are operational or functional. So then there are certain other quality attributes which we address for the product, not on the basis of operational aspects. They are called non-operational quality attributes. Okay, so they are testability and debuggability, evolvability, portability, time to prototype and time to market, and per unit and total cost. Okay, so these are the things which come under non-operational quality attributes. So what are these things? Testability and debuggability means, testability means how easily one can test the design or the application, and by which means or he or she can test it. So when you say an embedded product, we say it's a combination of both hardware and firmware. So how easy it is to test your hardware or test your firmware. So that deals with testability. So embedded hardware testing, it ensures that the peripherals and the total hardware functions in the desired manner. Okay, so once you design a circuit, you have to test it. You have to test that particular circuit. Okay, so when you test it, you see whether it will function in the desired manner, or how the user is expected to use it, whether it functions in that particular manner. Similarly, just like you test a hardware, you also test a software. So firmware testing, it ensures that the firmware is functioning in the expected way, right? Whatever code you have written, it has to function in a proper way. Okay, so just like code development or product development, product or code testing is also very important domain. Okay, most of the IT engineers, if they can also make a career in testing, where there is quality analysis or quality testing. It's a very important field, just like development, because everything is prone to some errors, and that has to be tested. Okay, so once the product comes to the market, if it was not tested properly, the product will fail definitely. So it has to be tested properly. So testing is also very important, the process, apart from development. Similarly, there is debuggability. Debug means to find the errors. So how easy it is to find the errors, that means to debug. Okay, it's a means of debugging the product, as such, for figuring out the probable sources that create unexpected behavior in the total system. So the mistakes might be in some circuit level, or even in some software, some codes, right? It has two aspects in the embedded system development context, that is hardware level debugging and firmware level debugging. Hardware level debugging is used for figuring out the issues created by hardware problems. Some problems in the circuit, maybe some soldering problems, or some equipment you have placed wrong, right? Some connections you have made mistakes in the connections. Okay, so those comes under hardware debugging. Whereas firmware debugging is employed to figure out the probable errors that appear as a result of flaws in the firmware. That means some errors, logical errors or syntax errors or whatever. So those come under firmware level debugging. So it should be easy to find the errors and correct them. That means debuggability. Okay. Similarly, it should be easy to test a particular system, both hardware and firmware. That is called testability. So these are the things we have in testability and debuggability. Next non-operational quality attribute is evolvability. Evolvability means what? Evolve. What do you mean by evolution? In biology, you might have studied. Evolution means every generation, some things will change in every species. So it is referred to, evolvability is referred to as non-heritable variation. Okay. So from one generation to the other or over a period of time. So that means your embedded products should also evolve with what? Evolve with changing technologies. Okay, so you cannot use the same product for a very long period of time because it gets outdated. So then you should be able to upgrade that particular product. Okay, for an embedded system, the quality attribute evolvability refers to the ease with which the embedded product, that is both hardware and firmware, can be modified to take advantage of new firmware or hardware technologies without much changes. How easily you can incorporate newer technology, that is called evolvability. It should be more evolvable, then only it will stay for a longer time in the market. Then you have portability. Portability means to move from one system to the other. That is called porting, right? Porting means to move from one system to the other. So when you move from one system to the other, it's actually a measure of system independence. It shouldn't be depending on any particular system. It is called system independence. An embedded product is said to be portable if the product is capable of functioning as such in various environments, target processors or controllers, and embedded operating systems. So if it is portable, it means it can be used in any kind of environment. It should be regardless of what kind of environment you use. Okay, then what kind of target processor or controller you use. Even if you change the processor or controller, there shouldn't be much changes that you have to make in the embedded system. Even if you change the operating system, there shouldn't be much changes that you have to make in the embedded product. The standard embedded product should always be flexible and portable. Okay, so porting, it normally represents the migration of embedded firmware written for one target processor to a different target processor. Suppose you have written a program for Intel 86, I mean Intel x86 or this series, Intel series of microprocessor. If you are changing the processor, then you will have to change the firmware. So the portability, it depends on what language you have used to develop the firmware. If it's a target specific language like assembly level language, in assembly language, the codes are specific to that particular processor or controller, right? So in that case, if you're changing the hardware, then you will have to write an entirely new code for the newer hardware, because whatever the codes you had written in assembly language for one particular processor will not work for another kind of processor because its architecture will be different. Okay, so that becomes a problem if you use target chip specific codes like assembly level codes. But if you see higher level language, if you use higher level language like C or embedded C, which does not care about what is there underneath, it does not care about what kind of processor or controller you have used, right? You write a general syntax in C. In that case, portability is high. Okay, you can port it easily because much changes are not required when you change the processor. So yeah, that's what it is. If the firmware is written in a high level language like C, it is very easy to port the firmware. Okay, it has only few target processor specific functions which can be replaced with the ones for the new target processor, and recompiling the program for the new target processor specific settings. Okay, some target specific functions will be there, they can be replaced with the newer ones and again recompiled and used. The program that needs to be recompiled to generate the new target processor specific machine codes, okay, they will generate those machine codes. But if the firmware is written in assembly language, okay, then the portability is poor. It is very difficult to translate the assembly language instructions to the new target processor specific language because you need to write the entire code again in the which is compatible with the newer processor. Okay. So that's what it becomes more easy to port if you are using a higher level language like C. But if you are using assembly language, then portability is poor. Next quality attribute we have is time to prototype and time to market. What does time to market mean? It is the time elapsed between the conceptualization of a product and the time at which the product is ready for selling or for using. If it's a commercial product, it's for selling. If it's a non-commercial product, which is not made for selling, then it is for using. So what does this mean? Suppose if you consider a new phone is coming to the market. Okay, so in this year, iPhone 13 might come to the market. It is expected to come maybe in September or so, like, right, like every time. iPhone 13, if it is coming in September of this year, so when they started designing this particular phone, it is not like today they decide something and tomorrow they can bring it to the market, right? So they have to come up with an idea of this particular product, that is called conceptualization, and it should be ready for selling at a particular time. So the time taken for conceptualization to selling, that total time is called time to market. Okay, so this time has to be, it shouldn't be too high. If it is too high, then other competitors may enter the market and bring in the same product with the same features before you release it to the market. At that time you will lose whole market share and your competitor will gain of early release into the market, right? So the commercial embedded product market is highly competitive, and time to market is a critical factor in the success of commercial embedded product. The competitor might release their product before you do. In that case, you lose all the market share, because if a person buys a phone or any product in that case with a very good features, just like what you are going to do, if the product comes 1 month early, all people will buy that. And after 1 month, if you release something with the same features, nobody is going to buy, because they have already paid a huge amount of money to buy that particular thing. And for the same technology, they will not buy again, right? The technology used might have superseded with the new technology. And if you take more time to release it, by the time you bring it to the market, a newer technology might come in the market. So you become outdated, right? So it is a very critical thing. You need to be well aware of what are the trends in the market and bring the product to the market as soon as possible. Okay, that's called time to market. Then what do you mean by prototype? Prototype is uh, something similar to what a product looks like, but it is not the actual product that is coming into the market. Yeah, they design one prototype or an example of a product for testing. Okay, product prototyping helps a lot in reducing time to market. Prototyping is an informal kind of rapid product development in which the important features of the product under consideration are developed and they are tested, and later the final product will be released. Okay, time to prototype is also another critical factor. If the prototype is developed faster, the actual estimated development time can be brought down significantly. Okay, in order to shorten the time to prototype, all the possible options like using off the shelf components like ready to use components and reusable assets, they can be used, and time to prototype can be reduced, which in turn will reduce the time to market. And the last one we have in non-operational quality attributes is per unit cost and revenue. So cost is also a very important factor when it's a commercial embedded product. Okay, so it's a factor which is closely monitored by both end user and product manufacturer. If at all you're buying some product, you will definitely look at the cost of it, right? And you will compare it with the similar products. It's a highly sensitive factor for commercial products. Any failure to position the cost of a commercial product at a nominal rate may lead to the failure of the product in the market, right? So you have to fix the cost at a nominal rate. Otherwise, people might not buy it. If they will look for something cheaper with the same or better features. Okay, so it could be anything, any embedded products like phones maybe, or refrigerators or washing machines or anything like that. The cost has to be nominal. It shouldn't be too high so that the people lose interest in it. Proper market study and cost benefit analysis should be carried out before taking a decision on the per unit cost of the embedded product. The budget and total system cost should be properly balanced to provide a marginal profit. You should get a marginal profit also. It shouldn't be loss by selling it at a lower cost. So every embedded product's life cycle has different phases. Actually, there are 6 phases, you can say. The first is the design and development phase. then the product introduction phase, then the growth phase, maturity phase, and product retirement or decline phase. So there are 5 phases: product development phase, introduction, growth, product maturity, and product retirement. Okay, so this is a graph of how things change with time and how revenue changes with time. Okay, design and development means your product is not yet in the market, you're just designing and developing it. Okay, in this phase there is only investment, you're not earning anything. There is only investment, no returns. Okay, the generation of product idea, prototyping, roadmap definition, actual product design and development, so these are the things that is carried out. Okay, here only designing and development of the product is done, it is not yet brought into the market. When you bring the product into the market, that is in the product introduction phase. The product is ready to sell, it is introduced in the market. Initially the sales and revenue will be low, slowly it will pick up, right? So there won't be much competition, because you are new to the market. Looking at that, some other competitors might try to design the same product with better features. So initially there will be no competition, but sales and revenue will also be low, because people will be looking for some reviews or opinions of others before buying. And the product sales and revenue, it will slowly increase with time. That is the product introduction phase. Okay, so you can see here, initially there is no revenue, the revenue is zero. In the product development phase there is no revenue, but when the product is introduced into the market, the revenue starts. Okay, the revenue starts. Initially the profit is negative, you can see the profit is negative. Why the profit is negative is, during product development you have put in money, you have invested money, right? So you have not earned anything. That means you have put money from your side, you have not earned anything, that's why it's a loss, you can say, initially. But once you start introducing the product in the market, you will start getting returns. Okay, then your profit, your earnings starts becoming more than what you have invested, then you actually start making profit, you can see that. Okay, and initially unit cost will be lower. I mean, sorry, the product sales, slow, it will be very, initially product sales will be very less, slowly it will start picking up. Okay, it will start picking up, and in the growth phase the product starts selling too high, it will keep growing like this. Okay, and unit cost, if you see, initially you fix a price. Okay, it will be same thing, but with time the unit cost will reduce, unit cost will reduce. Okay, so you can see that the growth phase, the product grabs high market share. In the growth phase, it grabs the high market share, product sales increasing, product sales keep increasing. In the maturity phase, the growth and sales will be steady and the revenue reaches at its peak. You can see here, in the maturity it reaches its peak. Okay, sales will increase, the profit is increasing, and slowly it is again decreasing. It is decreasing because the unit cost is decreasing. Unit cost is decreasing means, you might have seen when you buy a new product which has come into the market. Okay, a new arrival thing, whatever it is, its price will be high, but with time the price becomes low. You might have seen, if you have bought a phone or any product, when you buy it, as soon as it comes to the market, its cost will be high. But with time, if you see the same thing after 1 month or 6 months or after 1 year, the price will be much lower. Okay, you can compare the price of the phone that you have now. Okay, with you can compare today's price with the price that you had bought it. So it will be, of course, lesser. It will be available at lesser price now. Okay, because unit cost is, it will reduce with time. So once the product reaches maturity, there is a next phase, that is product retirement or decline phase. So no product will stay in the market for a very long time, it has to retire. Okay, it has to retire and decline. Product in the drop in sales volume, market share and revenue, that happens in this particular phase. Decline happens because of various reasons, maybe because like competition from a similar product with enhanced features, or if the technology changes. Okay, now the 5G phones will come into the market, so 4G phones will no longer be sold, right? So these days you do not find only 2G or 3G phones available, because they have started to decline. People always look for newer technology because they need to be alive in the ongoing trend, right? So that's why older things get retired or decline. At some point of the decline stage, the manufacturer announces discontinuing of the product. So they will stop producing it, and even selling it, even support will stop. Okay, so that's how things work. This is the product life cycle of any embedded product. So only if the retirement happens, then sales will keep reducing. Okay, so that's about the product life cycle. Go. So from the graph, we can see the total revenue increases from the product introduction stage to the product maturity stage. Okay, till maturity stage, it is increasing. The revenue peaks at the maturity stage and starts falling in the decline or retirement stage. Okay, starts falling in the decline or retirement stage. Unit cost is very high during introductory stage. You have seen, I have given you an example of a cell phone. If you buy a new model of a cell phone during its launch time, the price will be high, and you will get the same model with a very reduced price after 3 or 4 months of its launch, right? If a newer model comes, the older model will have very less price, right? You might have experienced this while buying a phone or some other embedded products. The profit increases with increase in sales and attains a steady value and then falls with a dip in sales. You can see a negative value for profit during initial period, right? That's because there is only investment here during the product development phase, and there is only investment and no returns. Profit occurs only when the total returns exceed the investment and operating cost. Okay, only then profit starts happening, but it will decline after product maturity and retirement. Okay, so this is about the non-operational quality attributes, that is per unit cost and revenue. So in non-operational quality attributes, we have seen testability and debuggability, evolvability, portability, time to prototype and market, and per unit cost and revenue. Okay, with this, we have completed a small topic in this fourth module, that is characteristics and quality attributes of embedded systems. So next we have some other topics like application and domain specific embedded systems. Okay, then hardware software co-design and modeling of embedded system design. We will see that in upcoming classes.